This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
On U.S. oil patches stretching along the Rockies and Great Plains, trailers hitched to trucks back up toward well pads to capture natural gas and convert it on the spot into electricity. The trailers, carrying pipes, generators and computers, are called mining rigs. But their owners aren't there to drill for oil. They are using stray natural gas unwanted by oil companies to power their search for another treasure: cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies are virtual coins exchanged without middlemen, such as central banks, to purchase goods and services. Extracting the currency from cyberspace, however, requires vast amounts of often expensive electricity. Supercomputers must run constantly in a race against other miners to solve complex math problems in order to unlock digital vaults holding the currency.
India's crude oil processing fell in April from the previous month, with top refiners reducing crude runs as a fierce second wave of coronavirus infections curbs mobility and demand for fuel. Refiners processed about 4.9 million barrels per day, BPD, or 19.89 million tons of oil last month, government data showed. That was 1.2% lower than March levels but a 35% jump from a year earlier. As of now, the companies are not operating at maximum capacity because several states have placed partial shutdowns and have granted permission to operate at half capacity, said Gaurav Garg, head of research at Capital via Global Research. Fuel demand also fell last month as world's third largest oil consumer has been reporting around 250,000 infections and 4,000 deaths daily.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
The world's 7 largest advanced economies agreed on Friday to stop international financing of coal projects that emit carbon by the end of this year, and phase out such support for all fossil fuels, to meet globally agreed climate change targets. Stopping fossil fuel funding is seen as a major step the world can make to limit the rise in global temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial times, which scientists say would avoid the most devastating impacts of climate change. Getting Japan on board to end international financing of coal projects in such a short time frame means those countries, such as China, which still back coal, are increasingly isolated and could face more pressure to stop.
Oil prices jumped 2% on Friday after 3 days of losses, driven higher as a storm formed in the Gulf of Mexico, but were on track for a weekly fall as investors braced for the return of Iranian crude supplies after officials said Iran and world powers made progress a nuclear deal. Brent crude futures settled up $1.33, or 2%, to $66.44 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate was at $63.54 a barrel, up $1.64, or 2.65%. A weather system forming over the western Gulf of Mexico has a 40% chance of becoming a cyclone in the next 48 hours, the U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, said on Friday. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Global crude steel production jumped 23% year-on-year in April, data showed on Friday, and output was expected to keep rising in coming months as coronavirus restrictions ease and high prices encourage production. Worldwide output of steel climbed to 169.5 million tons last month, industry group World Steel Association data showed, but the percentage rise was exaggerated due to closures a year ago when the pandemic was at its height. The year-on-year growth rate is flattered by base effects, Caroline Bain, chief commodities economist at Capital Economics, said in a note.
Copper prices eroded further on Friday as some investors took profits and others worried about threats by top consumer China to curb surging commodity prices. Copper on the London Metal Exchange, LME, was set for its biggest weekly drop since September 2020 after a sizzling rally with near 40% gains since the start of the year to a record peak of $10,747.50 last week. By 16:10 GMT on Friday, 3-month LME copper had slid 2% to a 3-week low of $9,849 a ton, down 3.7% on the week. COMEX copper dropped 2.1% to $4.474 per pound.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Russia may raise grain exports by 3 million tons to 51 million tons in the 2021-22 marketing season, which starts on July 1, despite a lower crop, the Agriculture Ministry said on Friday. Russia competes with the European Union for the rank of the world's largest wheat exporter. Turkey, Egypt and Bangladesh are the largest buyers of its wheat. The ministry sees Russia's 2021 grain crop at 127.4 million tons, including 81 million tons of wheat, it said in a statement. The country harvested 133.5 million tons of grain, including 85.9 million tons of wheat, in 2020. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.